the field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over green and is pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure green has his hands full coming into T1.
Be York's chance. Did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside. Hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
DeSoto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Playva going up to try to move out of the way and give up the slipstream.
Here comes Gilliland.
Slow down. Gilliland coming in, going to try to challenge for this podium. They're going to go too wide.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Gilliland and Playva come together. Gilliland's going to come back across the line in 4th place.
You're quite going to get there. There's a little bit of a lock up there from the 46 car. He's gone deep.
Whoa. I don't know how everybody was able to get through that. That could have been absolute tears for that front runner.
I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes. There's
that was the
Budweiser.
biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you know, life sucks sometimes, and you need the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not going to go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new content.
Confirmed.
But
Yes.
but
Welcome to the 2024 Season 4 of the Weekend Warriors here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, brought to you by Ray Esports. We joined the qualifying action here at Nurburgring. The short layout, we're taking the VLN cut through and just running basically sectors 1 and 3 of the GP circuit. Randall McGrew, I want to be joined in the commentary and in the production booth by Daniel Salmon. Adam Thompson, notably absent, though he's present on the screen. Right now, looking at a nice, balmy 69 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature, 21 degrees Celsius, and should be pretty good for race lap times, qualifying times, and we'll jump right into the action. Daniel, what are you expecting to see out of the cars today?
Go. I think this is going to be a really, really fun track, Randall. Certainly a lot of fun. I've done a couple of the official races here this week, and there's definitely quite a couple of challenging corners. Certainly myself, I struggled where they cut through and miss a big portion of the track, but turn 1, I can see there being absolute chaos in that corner. Certainly a very popular place to get that car a little bit over-rotated and spun around. Very easily done indeed.
You're right. It could be a very challenging track. Cut through a very challenging section. Right now, if we take a look at the leaderboards, we're going to see Marco Pinero on top with a 122.843, the only person to break into the 123 barriers. Pardon me. Followed closely by Yangqi Lin and Jason Green rounding out the top 3. We're going to jump on board with somebody, possibly try to get a look at a flying lap around here. Well, we have about 7.5 minutes left in qualifying, and then after we get that done, I think we're going to take a quick look at the points picture. So we're going to see who we got coming across the line right now. We're going to jump on board with Mr. Russell. Scott Russell coming down at the front straightaway. We're going to blend over to the left-hand side to open up that entry to turn 1. We got some cars coming out of the pit lane that could be very important during the race. He takes a pretty tight line through the first corner. Then you can have a very severe left-hander following that, and he's going to get it wrong. Too much of that curb. It sends the car around. Going to have to deal with that oversteer He's going to reset to the pits and come back out and try
There you
to
go.
get somebody else coming around. It looks like Daniel Wood coming out of the last corner. We have a stricken vehicle off to the left. And he's also going to stay over to the left as he comes down the pit straightaway. These drivers are going to really have to keep an eye on that pit exit during the race in case any cars are coming out. Just like this, we can find they're going to have unexpected traffic as they get to turn one. It takes a much wider entry there into turn one and then opens it up, cuts it back for the turn two, and clips that inside apex curbing and then blends all the way out using all the track width and brings the car back to the left, which was different than the normal GP layout because he's going to take this double apex right-hander VLN cut through. Then got to bring the car back to the right to open up the entry to our very fast left-hander. You're going to use a lot of curb there, kiss that exit curbing, bring the car back across, a little dab of brake, get the front end to turn in, use all that track width for that right-hander. It's very important to get to the throttle early because this is a very long flat-out section and an easy flat-out right-hand kink. Going to let the car drift out to the middle of the track, then wrangle it back over to the right, and they're going to be using the more difficult of the chicanes here, braking at about the 75-meter mark, using a lot of curves there. You got to be very careful getting back onto the throttle with those curves that you definitely need to eat them to maximize your time. So he's riding the entry curve there into the final corner, kissing the apex curbing, and then running all the way out the exit curve, using every inch of the track to maximize his speed down that front straightaway to get a good lap time and to set up the next one.
Well, definitely a very good lap there by Daniel Wood. But as you were saying, we're going to take a quick look at them points. Let's have a quick peek here. And we're going to start it off with the S1 Series.
Marco Pinero leading the way in qualifying and on the S1 leaderboard with 526 points. 125 points back is second place Jason Green with Daniel Wood rounding out the top three in S1. Then we're going to jump to S2 where we have Joshua Wilkie putting on a dominating performance in that 777 entry ahead of Paulo Brame and Paul Jackson rounding out the top three. And then over to the Masters, they're old but not slow. Brad Cathcart leading the way in a very, very tight points battle over Tom Gradwell, only 2 points separating them. And then a bit further back in third place is Adam Bradshaw. So keep an eye on the Masters division this race. It could have huge championship implications.
Well, definitely some things to keep in mind indeed. And certainly you see a little bit of a wiggle there. Actually, yeah, definitely not what they had in mind. And Trenton Kramer demonstrating exactly just how tough that corner is. And something as well to keep in mind about that corner where they cut through, I do find the elevation change that actually adds a little bit to it. I'm going to try and get an onboard, see if I can find somebody heading up to that corner. Randall, perhaps you can explain it a little bit better than I can. Certainly you're a much more talented driver than myself, but certainly a corner that I've had a lot of difficulty with as I'm having a quick look. I think the 32 machine should just be coming up to it now. Here we go.
So it's difficult to tell in 2D. If you're in VR, you get a much better feel for elevation changes. But as he comes into this corner, it crests through the first apex. So the grip of the car is going to change. Once you go across that crest, it's going to have more weight on the front of the car, which is going to make it feel like it has more front end grip, which is you'll see that typically cause some oversteer if somebody has too much lock into it. As they come over that crest, you'll see the rear end step out as suddenly the front end has more weight. Because if you think about it, all four wheels going downhill, you have more weight going forward, as evidenced by the fact that it would roll forward if you were to just let it go.
Yeah, we'll see if we get an on board here with Joshua Wilkie, somebody taking it a little bit quicker, and he's going to break around the 75 mark. And you can see there, definitely a more talented driver than I am, but certainly myself, I found that little bit there really upsetting the car. This next corner as well, I'll be interested to see which is the faster line. Now myself, I cut in and use as much of that green curbing as I can to try and set myself up nicer for the right-hander. But again, I'm definitely not a pro. We'll have to see what some of these faster guys get up to. Certainly, Jason Green would probably be a very good example, who's currently out there in third place.
I'm with you. I tend to run a lot of that curb as well, but some of these drivers may be running a stiffer setup on the dampers that might not allow them to run as many curbs. It'll be tricky in this final chicane for some of those drivers to get through there cleanly, considering how much people tend to run the curves. If you're not able to run the curves in that last chicane, it really hampers your ability to get through there quickly. as it's a much narrower track going through that chicane. So if you're running a setup that's not very friendly on the curbs, you're going to struggle a lot here for lap time and probably end up spinning yourself a few times.
Yeah, definitely something to keep in mind as well. I know a couple of the guys at some tracks, what they do is actually raise the car a little bit so that way they don't bottom out on that curbing, which definitely a smart move. You can see all of that compression there as well going through turn one. Jason Green, he did have sorry Jason, he did have a very colorful first race in the officials for this week, wiping out a good portion of the field. Scott Russell and Wan Shi Lin were a victim to that scenario. Myself, I benefited very well from it and much appreciated the iRacing boost there, courtesy of Jason Green's downfall, but certainly he's doing quite well right now, up in third, Wan Shi Lin in second. See if we can try and find somebody who's potentially going to improve on that lap time.
Wan Shi Lin also breaking through the 123 barrier, so we have two drivers that have gotten into the 122s. We'll see if Jason is able to improve here or not. We got a few drivers out there. I'm not seeing a lot of green sectors. Maybe on Mansell, I'm seeing a green sector, and he's in the final sector of his lap right now. It looks like he's quick in sector 2. Possibly Wilkie. Also, my color blindness is failing me, so I could be pointing out ghosts here that are actually yellow and not green. We're going to follow across the line here with Mansell to see if he's able to improve his position, and it looks like he went faster but did not change his position at all. So I can't tell if somebody else was able to set a time that bumped him down briefly and then back to his normal spot, but not able to improve his time, not able to improve his position.
Oh,
Brandon Mansell, and he's going to park it now.
You see a couple of the guys coming together there in turn one. Let's keep an eye on. Okay, these guys are obviously. I'm going to blame Phil and Jason. Well, Phil, I'm getting confused here. Jason Perry, and I've lost him now, is Phil Barry. Philip Barry. They're two very similar names. You got him there, Daniel Wood, Jörg Manny. It looks like these guys are literally just posing for the crowd at this point. I'm not sure what the plan is, but it's giving me Wilkie power slides into the shot. I don't know what these guys are doing. I kind of want to find out. But definitely, I wouldn't say they were showboating. I think they're having like a little bit of cars and coffee here at the Nurburgring.
Possibly it's a little bit like playing some ice hockey. You're going to skate by the opponent's bench, and they're just there to chirp you endlessly as you come through turn one. So hopefully they have their radios turned on to public transmit that every driver can hear them as they come through turn one, make fun of their racing lines.
Well, all that is needed right now is for Jason Green to go and absolutely hammer into him. I am in the iRacing session. I'm going to drop him a hint, Randall, if you could carry on, so.
And we see the checkered flag flying now in qualifying. So Marco Pinero provisionally still on your pole.
Yes, he's going to do it!
764, and there we go. Jason Green's going to break up the party with the green wrecking ball right into the midst of the cars parked there to observe turn one. We see a couple of drivers practicing pit entry. A pretty important aspect of this track is getting that pit entry right. You do take the final corner, but you take it on a much tighter line. So if you haven't practiced it, now we're going to get a replay. Another of Jason Green just absolutely bombing his way into that group of cars sitting there at the exit of turn one. We're going to do it one more time here. Jason Green, full throttle, doesn't even think about lifting, aims, and like a Sidewinder missile goes straight into the number 28 car. Complete destruction.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely a little bit of fun there. These guys have got absolutely incredible form. It looks like qualifying is just wrapping up, as my colleague was saying. Just a couple of cars still left to go. It looks like they're finally leaving the track now, so we should hopefully get that grid through very shortly. But the biggest thing that concerns me at this point is turn one, Randall. Turn one. Are these guys going to make it through? I know certainly if you managed to catch the last race, Jason Green got absolutely obliterated before they even got to the start finish there. So we're going to have a look and certainly hope for the best. But Randall, if you would do the honor, sir, let's have a quick look through this grid.
On your pole position is Marco Pinero, as I said, with the 122.764 in second place. Wan Shi Lin, Jason Green in third place, with Bobby West in fourth place. Then in the third row, Evandro Dantas and Kane Lasky. Kane Lasky driving that number 09 Flower Power machine. In P7, we have Simon Mayer, and next to him, Trenton Kramer. P9 is going to see Daniel Wood with 10th being Scott Russell. 11th place, Tom Gradwell with 12th, Andrew Love.
As we have a look at 13th here. There we go. Hit the right button there, boy. Stephen Healy, the Canadian driver, he's there in 13th with Philip Berry in that Cookie Monster machine. He's there in 14th. Chang Zong, quite far back compared to where I would expect him to be in the grid. He's there in 15th with Joshua Wilkie. That is your S2 points leader there in 16th. Kurt Nunez, one of the masters, he's there in 17th with Joachim Osbeck in 18th, one of the newer comers here to the Weekend Warriors. Caleb Pollock is alongside Charles Vaccaro for 19th and 20th. Adam Bradshaw takes 21st with Jim Brewster in 22nd. Brandon Mansell, he's there in 23rd with Joshua Flores, who I had the pleasure of racing this week. He's there in 24th.
25th, Paul Jackson with 26 being Wayne Buttermore, the last one to set a lap time. And then all these drivers have not set a lap time, so they'll be driving from the back of the pack. Jörg Manny in 27th, Jason Perry 28th, 29th, Andrea Favini, number P30 in the number 96, Richard Yelland, Jason Greider at 31st, and shotgun on the field, Michelle Vaglini. Also, not sure if all of these drivers will take to the grid or not as we see the grid rolling off. And I did forget to mention very quickly that Andrew Love is your Spec 2 pole and Tom Gradwell your Masters pole. So the top 10 completely Spec 1.
Definitely not very often that we see that here. Maybe this track being a little bit more testing than some of the others. But a very quick note as well. Richard Yalland, Stevie was telling me before the broadcast, he's one of the OGs here at the Weekend Warriors. He's back after a long break. So it's great to see not only new members here, but returning members as well. As we're going to take a look, we're going to have Marco Pinero going to be leading us off. Now, certainly a little bit of a controversial start, perhaps, for the Formula 1600s. We're going to have to see. Certainly not going to be able to get quite the same opportunity here. Not a chicane. He's got a long right-hander and a long straight. If I was him, I would probably hold off on that start. Randall, take us away.
That's exactly what he's done. Now he's on the throttle. We see there in the third row, jumping out of line. So we're already 3 wide, looking maybe possibly 4 wide as they come down the start-finish straightaway. Marco Pinero leads the way, and look at him fan out behind as they make the approach to turn 1. Will they get through cleanly? Marco Pinero leads all the way. We're so far good. They're making their way into turn 2, which is even tighter. And not seeing any tire smoke. We are seeing a bit of a parking lot form here in turns 1 and 2, but everybody seems to get through cleanly, not seeing anybody quickly fall down the order at the moment. So it appears the field has made it through turns 1 and 2 cleanly. Nobody more surprised than me with Marco Pinero leading the way. Evandro Dantas with a mega start up 3 positions into second place, as now we see the front of the pack getting into single file order. Everybody getting themselves worked out and trying to settle in, bring those tires up to temperature on this cooler track and get on with it. Dantas with that huge start, up 3 spots, absolutely getting it done. Jörg Manny also up 3 spots further back, now in 24th.
That's contact.
Little bump, there's contact, and manages to keep it together. Everybody keeps it going in the same direction. What an incredible save. We got an opportunistic Joshua Wilkie making a move 3 wide up the inside, going into the final corner. He's going to make it stick. He's going to get 2 for 1, the 2 for 1 special for Joshua Wilkie as he comes off the final corner for the first lap. What a move.
Well, definitely he was in the right place at the right time. And that car there, that was Cheng Zong. He gave Philip Berry in the Cookie Monster machine a little bit of a nudge. Now, Phil, I did have the pleasure of running this track with a couple of times this week, actually just last night, or I guess the early hours of this morning. And this corner, very, very, very careful. You got to go through there. A couple of the guys really picking up the wheel, but certainly able to keep that car going. Cheng Zong is definitely going to feel the brunt of that damage on that right front corner. It looks like Kurt Nunez currently trying to make a move up on the inside as they head through the cut through.
It looks like somebody just missed a brake marker that caused all that to kick off. Everybody kept going the right way though, so no heavy damage, no heavy impact to anybody's time. So a very clean race shaping up here in the Spec Racer Fords, and I'm amazed that they made it this far, this clean. Not to say that we have dirty drivers or unskilled drivers in this league, but this is just one of those tracks where those opening laps tend to cause a lot of fireworks.
Oh, 100%. Very, very easy to get caught up. I did see a couple of crash warnings during that first lap. It was Jason Perry and Paul Jackson. We'll catch in on them a little bit later and see what exactly is going on. But the whole field very much single file excuse me, for the most part, you see Kurt Nunez making a move there on Cheng Zhong.
Cheng Zhong maybe feeling the effects of that damage already, gives up the place to Kurt Nunez. Up front, we've had Yanqi Lin move into second, and now Jason Green and Kane Lasky have made their way around Evandro Dantas. So Evandro Dantas is falling down the order pretty quickly here. Doesn't look like he's necessarily crashed, possibly a self-spin, but he's dropped all the way to 10th. We see Jason looking back from Jason Green, the big line of cars. So some mistake for Evandro Dantas has caused him to lose a bunch of positions, but it doesn't look like that he's had a huge incident. He is still running, though, back in 10th when he was up to 7th or 2nd. So we're going to see a move here possibly.
Oh, he locked up.
Bit of a lockup there on at the chicane, and has to take the cut through. Likely incur a slowdown there, so he's going to be lifting through that final corner, and everybody just freight trains their way around him.
Absolutely.
So a small mistake, but he's still in the fight here, so he's got plenty of time to make those positions back up. Jason Green now chasing down Kane Lasky. We're seeing him use those curves. And there goes Scott Russell off the track. Oh, comes back on. That's a little spooky, almost right back into traffic, but gets it back on track and will continue on without any damage. That was a really close call, though.
Well, definitely Scott Russell has not had the best of luck in recent races, so we're really hoping that he can have a little bit of a better result, but I see things are spicing up. Definitely a place I would not want to go too wide, 3 wide, would be turn 1. Certainly very, very hard to get a good judge on that corner, and I don't find these cabs. Oh, Green's gone around.
Side-to-side contact there with Jason Green, sends him into a spin. He gets a little tag from a passing car and then gets it going back in the right direction. Loses some time, loses a handful of positions, will rejoin it back in 11th, but he's still in contact with this lead pack, so he just needs to put the visor down. Don't let one mistake become a bunch of mistakes. Carry on. Hopefully he's not seeing red too much here.
Well, definitely, very easily done. Certainly nothing intentional. But right now, this is the person who is leading the S2 division. It's Andrew Love. He's currently up 3 spots from where he started. Definitely keeping it clean. He's got Evandro Dantas right ahead of him. Certainly, we've seen pace from the Brazilian driver there. And, if he can stay with this pack, this could be very beneficial. He's pulled away about a second to Scott Russell behind. So that should just be enough to break that draft. He's just got to make sure he can try and stay with Dantas to try and stay with that lead pack.
Not seeing any huge gaps. We're seeing some gaps. There's a bit of tire smoke. Somebody locking up. Simon Mayer gets it wrong in the final corner. Ends up sliding off to the outside. He's going to lose a bunch of spots and some time here, but no real damage, it looks like, to the car. So he's going to get away with one. Luckily, he didn't collect anybody else in that incident. He's not going to be challenged by Kurt Nunez up the inside.
Oh, no.
A lot of traffic here. This could be pretty spicy. We got some moving around under braking. The stewards won't be very happy with that. And a little bit of nudging there behind Mayer, but it looks like everybody gets through. Mayer gets a good run and gonna have the inside line on Nunez, and now looking to make another move on Tom Gradwell. 3 wide.
Oh, I saw that coming.
Never gonna work. That was never gonna happen, Simon. That was very optimistic past the point of adhesion, and now he's stuck facing the wrong direction, waiting for a hole in traffic so he can get through. We're going to take one more look as he gets an epic run there off turn 2. Take us away, Daniel. What happened here?
So it's definitely, I see his intention, and it was certainly a brave move, but Tom Gradwell, he's in the middle. He's got nowhere he can go, and definitely not intentional. Gradwell just, trying to take his line. He's not expecting to see a car up on his inside, but a good demonstration of why, sometimes low risk yields that higher reward.
Sometimes it gives you a big reward, and sometimes it's just all risk. And this time it did not pay out for Simon Mayer. He lost even more time in that exchange. And we're on board with Kane Lasky here. He's all over the rear of Bobby West, and he also has Kramer all over the back of him. So he's feeling the pressure, trying to apply the pressure at the same time. And if he goes for a move, he's got to make it stick. Otherwise, he's going to end up losing a spot. Bobby West with a pretty good run out of turn 2. It's not going to happen right now. Kramer really dialing up the pressure here on Lasky. Lasky's able to keep it going so far. Doesn't look like he's feeling the pressure, so he's hitting his marks pretty well, just trying to reel in Bobby West in this battle for third place. Jianxi Lin has pulled ahead of Bobby West by a couple to 3 seconds, and Marco Panero with a 1.2 second lead. So enough to really kind of break the slipstream most of the way for Marco Panero, but we're starting to see some gaps in the front really start to shape up, and kind of expect over the course of this race, a technical track like this, you're going to see lots of small groups of cars battling for positions and lots of gaps between those small groups. So starting to kind of shape up that way already. You see this foursome here making their way into the final corner, led by Andrew Love, Scott Russell there, and we're focused now on Jason Green as he's trying to do a recovery run back in 11th. Behind him, Josh Wilkie coming very quickly. So Joshua Wilkie looking to join this group and try to get some spots and make his way up to Andrew Love to get that Spec 2 win. And he's closed the gap pretty well here into turn 1. We see Jason Green coming through turn 2 right now. No real movement in this group, but they are all very close. Dantas has made his way back up to 6th place, so back nearly to the starting position of 5th place. We saw Dantas step out very early, timed that start perfectly, gained all the way up to 2nd place just on the start. He leads this pair ahead of Daniel Wood, who's trying to hang on with him. Hopefully they can work together and try to make their way back up to the leaders. But right now, a 2.9 second gap up to the group ahead is going to be pretty difficult to overcome without these cars battling, which is what we're seeing a little bit. Lasky making a little bit of a look on the inside and through the kink, letting Wes know that, hey, I'm here, I'm quick, and I'm ready to make a move.
Well, certainly
doesn't quite set one up here. Sorry, go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry, Randall. Certainly, Kane Lasky has been the topic of a little bit of discussion here at the Weekend Warriors, having that very aggressive, we shall say, ending to last week's Formula 1600 race. But I do find it a little bit, tongue-in-cheek almost, that he's here in a piece paint job, and at the minute he's. You know what? He's been pretty flawless. I've not seen any incidents which would cause alarm. As you see there, making a move on the inside, getting that move done on Bobby West. Incredibly close. Actually, only just noticing Bobby West, a little bit of chrome paint on there. A little bit of a shine, but you can see right behind him, that is Trenton Kramer. Now, he's fresh of a fantastic battle in the F1600s, and certainly, it's good to be up in the top 5, and they've already pulled away that nice big gap to Evandro Dantas, but certainly these guys keeping it clean, but gradually falling back behind the two of Marco Panero and Jianxi Lin.
Yeah, that's right. Kane Lasky peacefully, but not a pacifist here, puts his foot temporarily on the bottom step of the podium. Let's see if he can keep it there for the rest of this race. So with a very textbook move into turn 1, gets it done very cleanly. We're going to take a look back here at this group: Philip Berry, Tom Gradwell, Cheng Zheng, and that's Joachim. That's Joachim. Yes, yeah, Joachim Osbeck. There is a 4th there in that group, trying to make their way around the track. They're coming to the final corner now, looking very tame. Not a lot of pushing and shoving or very close running going here. So they're just looks like they're just trying to click off laps. Some of these drivers might be trying to save their tires a bit for the end of the race. But right now, as I say that, Joachim is going to look to the inside there. Coming up, we're going to go too wide. Nope, just too wide in the back. Joachim going to go up the inside and get the move done on Philip Berry. And now he sets his sights on Cheng Zheng as he gets a decent run out of turn 2. See if he's able to close this gap up. But he's got a little bit of speed, looking to make some moves in this Spec 1 entry and try to get his way up towards that top 10.
Well, certainly, it's good to be in a pack here, but we're not finding anybody is really getting any bump drafting doing. Going down the start-finish straight, they're mainly, just fighting each other. And while that is good fun, usually we do tend to see a bit more teamwork here at the Weekend Warriors. There's somebody taking a little bit of a scenic route off there. I believe that might have been... I think that was Tom Gradwell maybe taking the scenic route. Oh, no, it must be a lapped car. My apologies. That was Stephen Healy further up in the purple car, dipping a toe in the water. And we've got a good view here from the cockpit of Joachim Osbeck, as it looks like Cheng Zheng able to get a move done on the Master Series leader right now. Tom Gradwell sacrificing that position, but for how long? You've got to ask yourself, Randall, do you want to take a position in the chicane, or do you want to try and get a good run going down the start finish? certainly at the end of the race, you got to factor in, where is Barney waving that flag? Where is the checkered flag going to go? And actually relatively close, it seems, to the final corner. It's not near the end, which could be a huge difference when it comes to making a tactic on when to make a pass.
Absolutely, that plays a huge effect. Also, you see some of these drivers might be employing a bit of a fuel saving strategy in some of these groups. It doesn't look like Joachim is much interested in fuel saving, as he's really been on the button, as evidenced by that big bit of oversteer he got out of the final corner while we were on board. And some of these drivers could be saving fuel to try to make some spots on pit strategy alone. We've already had a couple takers come into the pit lane for service. Kurt Nunez and Charles Vaccaro both have come in. Stephen Healy is a lap down. He's been in the pit lane for a very long time, so I wonder if he was repairing damage or possibly got an unsafe entry or speeding penalty. But he was stopped in his pit box for 51 seconds, so not your normal service time. Right now, Kurt Nunez, the faster of the three, with a 10:83 stop time. We look back from Richard Yelland as he tries to open up a gap over Joshua Flores.
Well, one thing I did notice about the car of Joshua Flores is he has definitely got some cosmetic damage, and I think that is having an effect. Richard Yallen, despite being a little bit rusty perhaps, he's absolutely just taken Flores to gapple speeds. We're going to try and see a quick view of the front of this car, but you can see oh yeah, that's Pooch, ladies and gentlemen. Now he is coming in, get that pit stop done early, and potentially taking a fast repair. We'll have a look, see if the steering wheel is indeed straight. Okay, steering wheel's pretty good. And somebody else, that's Brandon Mansell, also coming in the pits as well.
So a couple early takers for the pits here, one at least for damage repairs. And the nature of that damage looks like he got into the rear of somebody. So I'm guessing there's another car with an equally damaged rear end that probably was involved in a braking zone incident. As we see it quickly get repaired, the pit lane teams here at the Weekend Warriors are the quickest in the world as they get those vehicles repaired and back underway. We'll take a look at Wayne Buttermore. Is going to be coming out. He's right there behind Kurt Nunez. We see a couple of drivers coming out of the pit lane, but it looks like they are all going to be coming out into clean air and not have to deal with keeping a tight line for that first corner. Wayne Buttermore trying to keep up with Kurt Nunez here. Kurt Nunez already taking pit service, so definitely the faster car. We see a bit of a battle here going on around our Masters leader, Tom Gradwell. He wants positions because he's got spots over Jörg Manny.
He's going for a pit.
He's going to dip into the pit lane, and he's going to be joined by Mr. Philip Berry himself. So two more drivers coming in to take service. We're not seeing any big groups come into pit lane yet, but with only 15.5 minutes left, this pit lane is going to start getting busier and busier.
Well, one thing I did notice as well, Philip Berry really closed up the gap on the back of Tom Gradwell there. So actually a surprising amount of drivers taken to the pit. But realistically, if you have a damaged car, you need to get that damage fixed as quickly as possible to try and have it not influence your lap time. Let's have a quick look, see what other battles we got going on through the field. And okay, we found a whole train of cars, ladies and gentlemen. Joshua Wilkie leading that train. He's got Scott Russell right behind him. Andrew Love there, he's managed to be relegated by Wilkie into second place for the S2, but Cheng Zong, my apologies, not far behind either, but not quite able to get into that battle yet. That must be Stephen Healy is the 655 car you can see at the back of that pack. So certainly 3 people contesting for position, 9th being the highest available right now, and Scott Russell, certainly a driver not to be messed with. Very, very capable driver, just not really had the best of luck recently here.
He's still got a solid top 10 going, and he's right now he's getting beat out by Joshua Wilkie, who has been jokingly referred to as a sandbagger. Joshua Wilkie having a phenomenal season after having what he claims were 9 DNFs last season. So he's really figured this car out, and he's been able to put together lots of races, good races, and we see him trying to break up the slipstream here. So he really doesn't want to be the cork in this bottle. He's trying to establish a gap any way possible. His weaving doesn't really seem to be helping too much at the moment because Scott Russell is still right there on his rear bumper as they make their way through turns 1 and 2. No takers so far this lap on the pit, so we're going to be waiting a few more minutes. And I was completely wrong. We weren't 15.5 minutes remaining in this race. We were only 15.5 minutes into the race, so we're not even made it to the halfway point yet. So around the halfway point is when you really start to see the pit lane become busy, which is in about another 2.5 minutes.
Well, I do have a report as well that Joshua Flores has actually jumped to the pits, which was interesting because he'd only just left them. So I'm not quite sure what is happening with Flores. But out front, Marco Pinero, he's just he's got a 1.8 second gap to Wan Shi Lin, who is, you can see at the back of the shot. Kane Lasky trailing behind there with Bobby West in tow, as is Trenton Kramer there. So a good couple of guys still making a run. Jason Green, he's not been able to quite stay with him. Currently under pressure from Daniel Wood and Evandro Dantas before you get down to the Wilkie, Russell, and Love Brigade.
So those gaps up front have been pretty static. They've gotten a little bit bigger in both instances, but not a huge amount. So Yanshi Lin's still really good on the button, trying to close that gap enough to get into some slipstream. Marco Pinero able to open up that gap just a little bit. We're going to see here Scott Russell looking to the inside. Going to get the move done on Wilkie, going to resume the lead of that group. So Scott Russell makes his way back up to 9th place. Going to try leading the way here. Maybe Wilkie's going to make a move coming through the cut through. No, not really looking to set up there, but could be in a position to maybe save fuel for a couple laps before he comes in for pit service, or he might try to pit out of this traffic and try to undercut everybody. We'll see what happens towards the end of the lap with this group as they make their way down through the quick right-hander and onto the big back, what we're calling the back straight, that only has this little kink in it. So this is a good opportunity for some slipstreaming and some fuel saving. Right now, this group looking pretty tame after that turn 1 move by Scott Russell.
Well, definitely, it was a very clean move as well, but Wilkie's, he's certainly not a fool, and he'll be very aware of the fact that he's been punching a Spec Racer Ford shaped hole in the air, but it looks like Russell is already pulling away. He's about 6/10 of a second clear. As I'm keeping an eye, I do wonder if Wilkie's going to come under fire very shortly from Andrew Love as well. These guys are battling for the S1 win right now. Certainly, the highest S1 normally in 10th place is quite a bit of a drop from from usual, but Andrew Love very much has something to play for here if he wants to try and get a leg up on Wilkie in the points.
Yeah, Wilkie is definitely going to be feeling the pressure from Andrew behind. Andrew will be eager to get that spot done, though he might be biding his time. And if I remember right, Andrew Love does technically meet the criteria to race in the Masters division and said, nope, that's cool, I'll race Spec 2 instead. So has the pass to run the gold badge, chooses to run the green badge instead.
Well, I mean, I definitely know how he feels on that one. Like, I hitting 34 yesterday, by sheer willed endearment, I feel at times that I could be a Masters category, but sadly, it is strictly off age, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody in that Masters category has to be 60 years old, and I gotta hand it to him as well. These guys are certainly not slouches. Jürg Manny, let's take a quick look at him. He's in a 925 machine, currently leading the Masters. His next closest competition, Adam Bradshaw, a little bit further back. So certainly not as mixed up in the field as usual. Usually you'd see people like Jürg Manny, Antonio Reese as well. You see them up battling not just for the like the top of the Masters, but usually for outright podiums as well. They certainly have the pace.
Jürg Manny is one of the drivers that did not set a time in qualifying. He's up 13 spots. He is your de facto race leader in Masters now, but your effective race leader is all the way down in 23rd. Tom Gradwell, he's already come in for pit service. So once the pit cycle shakes out, we should see Tom Gradwell retake the lead there. We see Bobby West still chasing down Kane Lasky, not able to catch him, not able to pass him. Right now, seems to be happy holding the station. I imagine he's doing quite a bit of fuel saving as they have a lap car in front of them, locking up a little bit on that VLN cut through in the likes of Richard Yalen. So Richard, and as we've mentioned, an OG Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors driver, busting a lot of rust out here. Currently 1 lap down. I give him a couple more weeks. He'll be back up the pace, and we'll see him challenging for the top 10 again. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I gotta say, I loved your little play on words there, the busting on the rusting. Like, I thought that was hilarious. And if you ever make it out to Nova Scotia, Randall, I can take you to any parking lot and demonstrate that in a moment's notice. Certainly, you know, our cars generally do not last out here in Nova Scotia. Certainly, it's beautiful being on the ocean, but you pay a heavy price for it. And I don't just mean the taxes, ladies and gentlemen. Anything made of metal will absolutely disintegrate as if it's made of paper mache. But here we currently see a few battles going on throughout. Actually, let's take a look at this one a bit further back. So we saw these guys fighting as they came into the pits, and it looks like Philip Berry in that Cookie Monster machine. I gotta say as well, if you take a look from the back of Tom Gradwell's car, you can see how he's got the car number is reflective of his Cookie Monster paint job. And I gotta say, big Cookie Monster fan myself, but certainly Philip Berry not yet able to get it done. Tom Gradwell being a little bit of a cork in the stopper perhaps, or is he just really keeping Philip Berry, keeping him honest at this point?
Right now, it looks like the Cookie Monster is saying, "Me want Slipstream," and is hanging right there onto the rear of Tom Gradwell. Tom Gradwell is your effective Masters Division leader. Is he going to get a little bit of oversteer here out of the Cookie Monster? He manages to keep it wrangled pretty well. So kind of using that oversteer to his advantage. So in a unique setup here out of Philip Berry, gets a little bit of oversteer on entry, and he never really brought his hands back to the left. So kind of using that to his advantage, possibly going to be putting a little bit of extra taxation on those rear wheels, but he's hanging right there with Tom Gradwell, so he's got plenty of speed. He's coming in a little hot there to turn one, but keeps it all together and is running a pretty decent line through that chicane, all things considered. So he's got some decent pace, and maybe he and Tom can work together once his pit cycle comes completely through, and he'll have a few spots gained out of it. But if I look at the timing board, we have Yanxi Lin and Bobby West both in the pit lane. So some of the leaders starting to come in for service. And right now, your prime candidate for the Adam Thompson Award for fuel management is Brandon Mansell, who is only stopped for 9.9 seconds in his stall. So keep an eye on him for possibly having to come back in and take another splash of fuel before the end of the race, or even worse, running out of fuel on track. As Yanxi Lin is back underway with, we have a new challenger. Yanxi Lin stopped for only 8.5 seconds. Running danger close on that fuel management, and the number 30 car, Yanxi Lin, rejoined. So keep an eye, though. He might be battling with Marco Pinero much closer, or even in front of him, depending on how quickly Marco's stop gets done. We're going to jump back. Joshua Wilkie now under pressure from Andrew Love. Andrew interested in possibly snagging away that Spec 2 lead spot away from Wilkie, right there all over his bumper. We're getting a very, very clear view of that 777 ahead of him.
Well, certainly Andrew Love is doing the work, but you can hear he's lifting. I don't think he's worried about passing Wilkie right now. I think his plan is to beat him in the pits. Now, the Spec Racer Ford, it is not the fastest fueling vehicle in the iRacing lineup, and certainly that little saving could be huge in the pits, potentially 3 if not 4 seconds, and we're going to keep an eye on those pit times. You see there, Love getting a little bit of a slide going on through the final turn, which opens up the gap, but Wilkie, he's closing up to the back of Scott Russell. Is he going to go and make for the move? As I see Adam Thompson telling me that I am looking very sexy.
Adam showing his love for our producer in the chat, as Wilkie is going to make the inside move here on Scott Russell, get that position back right where he had given it to Scott Russell. So almost a carbon copy of Russell's pass on Wilkie now occurs on lap 19. We're past the halfway mark. We have about 14.25 minutes left in this race. Joshua Wilkie now up to 7th position. Scott Russell not going away quietly, though. He is keeping that pressure on. Thought he was possibly going to try to sell the dummy there and get the inside move at the last second. Does not stick his nose out. So Andrew Love is in a good position here, but we have heard him saving fuel. So he's just trying to get as close as possible to get the maximum benefit of slipstream. I expect we'll see a lift and coast out of him. And Wilkie moves over to the left and gives the spot back to Russell. So I'm not sure if he just got a bad run or possibly missed a shift.
I think I can answer that.
Corner. Do you think he's fuel saving?
No, I think he decided that going too wide through that chicane was not worth the risk, and I can't say that I blame him for that one. Nope.
So possibly fearing an inside move from Russell, he just moves over and lets Russell have the racing line through the kink and gives the spot up, and is now going to step back into the slipstream. Possibly Wilkie thinking about fuel saving here as well. It's tough to say because he looked so racy last lap, and this time we see Scott
Healy on the inside.
Healy going to have a huge lockup. They started going too wide with some defending there going on. I think it caught him a little off guard. He wasn't expecting there to be a battle there at all. I think everybody was a little caught off guard by Russell going defensive. Possibly Wilkie not even really thinking about making a move there, but Russell going defensive anyway. Well, see Simon Mayer on board with Simon Mayer trying to track down Jim Brewster. Jim Brewster, that 9:33 run 17th. We haven't really seen him on the broadcast, so running a very quiet race so far, but he is up 5 spots from where he started.
Well, we did see Simon Mayer a little bit earlier, and I got to say, Simon, I do love how you've got your name. This is one of the little things I really enjoy, when drivers can put their name so they can see it from the dash. I think that is fantastic. Certainly something that is common on the IndyCar, I believe, and some of the rallycross cars as well. There's one of the newer vehicles I'm thinking of, Randall, but it escapes me right now. But certainly Simon Mayer trying to make a recovery from that mistake earlier, trying to send it free wide on the inside. I think it was Nunez and Tom Gradwell, but right now it's Jim Brewster who's the victim, and Brewster very wisely backing out of that, choosing again very much these drivers respecting that chicane. And I do wonder as well if the curbing is a big part of that, as we've got Caleb Pollock as well. He's got Wan Chi Lin right behind him, so I do know that Caleb had a little bit of a crash earlier, but I don't know if I'd be wanting to pick a fight with Wan Chi Lin.
Wan Chi Lin has definitely been one of the fastest drivers out here. The only one faster than him so far has been Marco Pinero, but we'll see if he's able to make his way through this traffic. This traffic is going to be key to his battle with Marco Pinero. He needs to make this move happen quick without losing too much time, because the longer that he stays mired in this traffic, the slower Marco Pinero's pit stop can be while retaining that lead. So he needs to make this happen very quickly. Though Caleb Pocock's a pretty fast driver, so if he doesn't get done immediately, he won't necessarily be losing the most time. But he is definitely eager to get that move done. We see him really opening up his entries, trying to get a good run off these corners. This is an ideal time to get that move done. Definitely don't want to be following too closely into the chicane. It will cause you to have to lose a lot of time. And we see Pocock going defensive. Nope, going to lift and let him go. So Pocock playing the smart strategy, getting out of Wan Chi Lin's way and letting him carry on. And he is quickly back up onto the bumper of Andrea Favini, who is another quick driver. Favini right now up 18 spots from where he started at the back with Jörg Manny. So also not the slowest of drivers, but Wan Chi Lin is absolutely flying. And related, Marco Pinero is now coming out of pit lane. He's been in the pit lane and now he's coming out. And Wan Chi Lin's going to be going too wide into turn one. He's going to be very close. He's not going to be able to get the move done on pit strategy alone, but he looks much closer than he was whenever he came into the pit lane to Marco Pinero. That gap right now, right at about a second. So he's definitely within slipstream range. He needs a couple of good laps here, a couple of good corners to help close that gap up. But Marco Pinero now in the danger of falling into the clutches of Wan Chi Lin.
Well, I definitely think that that Wan Chi, he definitely got held up a little bit more than he wanted, and I don't think that's cost him the race at this point. But certainly, Andrea Favini is not really interested in what Wan Chi Lin wants to do. He's interested in his own race, and he will fight everything he can, tooth and nail. And every week, I think we see it where he chooses not to post a time and enjoys making his way through the field. So Andrea, I gotta say, I get it. You know, to me, that is a lot of fun, and sometimes I do that inadvertently, as Wan Chi Lin has closed that gap down to about 0.7 of a second. And we're gonna have a quick look as well further up, just keeping a quick eye on a couple of battles. Joshua Wilkie, he's still in hot pursuit as well. Simon Mayer, he's now on the back of Adam Bradshaw.
We're seeing some more people coming to the pit lane. Dantas in the pit lane. Daniel Wood, Andrew Love, Jörg Manny all have come into the pit lane. So it looks like Andrew Love trying to undercut Wilkie and Russell ahead of him has come into the pit lane. We'll see what these stop times look like. We also see Adam Bradshaw and Jim Brewster in the pit lane. A 9:35 for Dantas, an 11:17 for Daniel Wood, a 10:75 for Jörg Manny. Still trying to wait to see what Andrew Love. He's got a very slow stop with a 12:68, so he's going to give up some time on his stop. We'll see how this all shakes out and if he's able to rejoin that battle with Joshua Wilkie for that Spec 2 win.
Well, speaking of
still
Wilkie,
waiting to see Wilkie come in.
Yeah, he's doing my tactic, and that is, well, I say my tactic, the more understood tactic, I guess, and trying to hold on as long as he can. And certainly, if he sat behind the back of Scott Russell, who's basically, he's been playing with him, certainly playing jousting with him for the entire race. You know, you're definitely going to want to stick to your best competition. You can see that really the car moving a lot around. Now, is he going to pit this time? Yeah, they both are. They're coming in, and it is a race to the box.
And that's what Wilkie did not
Russell's gone wide.
Yeah, he goes wide, gets into the barrier. I thought he was going to kick it back out in front of Wilkie. Manages to keep it over to the left-hand side of the track. Gets some minimal. I hardly see any damage, so it looks like he may have gotten away with one. They do have a fast repair, and that crew will work very quickly to get that car repaired if there is any damage. So we'll see if that affects him. And then the leaders all coming in: Kane Lasky, Trenton Kramer, Josh Wilkie, Scott Russell, Andrea Favini, Caleb Pocock, all in the pit lane right now.
Well, definitely a very, very busy time on pit lane. Actually, that was a really quick stop there from Trenton Kramer. 9.42 seconds from Kramer. Green's a 9.77. Evandro a 9.35. Like, these guys were quite the variation, but at the minute, let's have a quick look. It looks like Wan Chi Lin is currently holding that record with an 8.55 second stop. Now, either he has incredible reaction times being able to launch it out that box, or he's going to be competing for the Thompson Trophy.
We'll see as we get to the closing stages of this race. Just under 7 minutes left to go in this race. And Yanxi Lin is definitely within striking distance of Marco Pinero. So did gain some time in the pit strategy. Evandro Dantas had a pretty quick stop too, a 9:35. He's also in the running for the Thompson Trophy. And after the troubles that he had early in the race,
here we go.
You have to wonder. Trenton Kramer now on the back of, is that Jason Green?
Yeah, he's pushing him.
Yeah. He's pushing a little bit of bump drafting going on here. We're trying to get some moves going. Jason Green currently sitting in 5th place. Trenton Kramer in 6th, trying to challenge. And Bobby West was able to get a position off of Kane Lasky with a 1.3 second quicker stop time. Shows him now leading by nearly a second over Kane Lasky. So Bobby West putting his foot onto the bottom step of the podium based on pitch strategy. So good job, Bobby West, to get that position from Kane, just based on how much fuel you could save.
Well, definitely fuel is something that is often underappreciated by drivers. Now, the reason we got the camera back on Trenton Kramer, not just because I'm still in a little bit of awe and maybe a little bit of fanboyism, depends what you want to call it, from that last race we did earlier today with the Formula 1600s. Jancic, by all means, please watch that, take a look. And, you know, this is why you need to get involved in the Weekend Warriors. You know, you've got to watch that broadcast. But I do wonder, can Trenton Kramer get caught back up to green and push him further along? So the gap up to Lansky is about 7 seconds, and they've only got 5 minutes left. So realistically, I think the bump draft technique is not going to get him very far. It's just too big a gap. So the question is Kramer going to try and take green off of that 5th place position?
He's definitely going to be looking to make that move at some point. You just have to wonder when he's going to give up the ghost of trying to close that gap. He may wait all the way until the last lap, because you never know what can happen in front of you. You need to keep your foot in it the whole time, because one mistake by a driver could cause you to get another position that you weren't expecting to get because there was a gap there. So they're definitely interested in keeping the pace up and not fighting too much. Also, you have to think they have Evandro Dantas behind them, so he doesn't want to get into too much of a fight and bring Dantas into this battle and have the risk of losing a position instead of gaining one. So Dantas really trying to track down this pair right now. He needs to be on the button, head down, dagger gripped firmly in his teeth.
Well, as we say that, it looks like Andrew Love. He may have fallen away from Joshua Wilkie, but he's got a new contender, and it is Jörg Manny. Now, I got to say, I'm a big fan of Jörg. He's a pretty awesome guy, very kind. But Jörg, your Spec Racer Ford, I'm sorry, it needs the face on it for me. I'm so used to seeing it, and Andrew Love just backed right out of that. Interesting.
Not interested in this fight. Jörg Manny has inherited the Masters Division lead. So Tom Gradwell not able to make his way through traffic after his pit stop and keep that lead. So wonder what happened with Gradwell. I can only assume that he was mired in traffic the entire time. His stop time was certainly long enough that he didn't have to come in for fuel again. So your Masters Division leader right now, Jörg Manny, 2 spots back from your Spec 2 leader, Joshua Wilkie, who's got quite a cushion, 3 cars back to Andrew Love, who's in 2nd in Spec 2. So the leaders in each category, except for Spec 1, have a nice little cushion here, and that battle up front
here we go.
Getting really close.
Hey, look.
You see Tom Gradwell and Joachim Osbeck here battling for position. Joachim running in 17th, Tom Gradwell back in 18th after leading the Masters Division for the first half of this race.
Well, I did have a look through the logs there, Randall, trying to see if we could find out what happened to Tom Gradwell. And I'm not getting any major red flags on there, but I will try and have a little bit more of a detailed look later.
Manny with troubles. Manny's in trouble. He's in pit lane again.
Fuel, it's gotta be.
Jörg Manny coming into pit lane. I'm not sure if he took the tow. No, it doesn't look like he took the tow. He came into pit lane on his own and is going to retire the car. So Jörg Manny vacates the Masters Division win. We're going to see him come into the pit lane. Possibly he had a drive-through penalty for speeding on exit. That's the only thing I can assume, and is now going to give up the
speeding,
ghost.
I bet you.
It could be speeding on exit. We see him get out of the car.
You watch, he just locks up. Look, I reckon he got nailed for speeding, and that was it.
Now, if he got nailed for speeding on the entry, it would have been added to his pit stop time initially. So maybe he had a speeding on exit and then came in to serve the penalty and got a speeding on entry and is like, yeah,
I'm done.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah, I didn't pay off the steward enough, but let's take a look and see what's happening with Philip Berry, because right now he is going side by side with Kurt Nunes down into turn 1. Now, this corner has been the biggest killer, but saying that, I'm yet to see any of these drivers actually go and spin it fully all the way around in turn 1, turn 2. So very, very good result, and certainly a lot of respect to the drivers for pulling that off. Myself, in qualifying, yeah, no, it didn't go as well, but I do wonder as well, why is Scott Russell all the way back in P20?
Scott Russell with a really slow pit time of 26.43 in the pit lane, so possibly
tires,
something going on with that car. But ahead of that group that we saw earlier, Kane Lasky has made his way back around Bobby West to put his foot back onto the bottom step of that podium. So Bobby West giving up the spot to Kane Lasky here. We're going to see a replay as it's going to get done in turn 1. He's got a really good slipstream coming down the main straightaway, and we're going to jump to Jörg Manny, who's retired the car. So possibly not going to get to see that turn 1 move out of Kane Lasky, but that's where it happened. Turn 1. Got it.
Let's go back with the lead battle.
Yes, let's get to that lead battle, because they're going to be taking the white flag of this time by. We expect to see Barney waving it in the air. They come across the start-finish straight. With just a half a minute left in the race, Yanxi Lin looking to get the move done early in this lap. Going to be on the outside, not going to have the preferred line.
Oh, he's on the inside.
Lock up from Pinero. Going to give. Oh, we're going to have a drag race down to turn 3, and it looks like Yanxi Lin is going to have the preferred line. He's going to get the move done before they even get to the braking zone. New leader number 30, Yanxi Lin, here on the white flag lap. Now, does Marco Pinero have anything in it for him? We're possibly going to see him step out and try and move into the chicane. He's got to be much closer there, though, coming out of this next corner to get that move done. Yanxi Lin with a bit of a gap here. Maybe we're going to see a little bit of the old Iberian snake to try to get rid of that slipstream. Right now, no, it looks like Yanxi Lin very comfortable running his line. Doesn't feel like he's under pressure enough. Not going to try to break that slipstream. Going somewhat defensive. So then he's going to blend back over to the right.
Oh, what a
and
send!
Here comes Marco Pinero with an absolute send up the inside. A little bit of bumping, but he gets the move done. Yanxi Lin comes off and falls victim. Should have been defending there possibly, but Marco Pinero with
he's running way wide.
Unit of a move, but he's ran wide, and now we're going to have a drag race. Yanxi Lin not going to be close enough. So possibly need to keep an eye on this pair after the race in pit lane. There might be some words exchanged.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
We're going to see Kane Lasky's going to come in ahead of Bobby West here at the end to get 3rd place over Bobby West. So a good battle there. Andrew Love gets his way around Andrea Favini. Now Andrea Favini comes back. Is going to have the inside for the final corner. Andrea Favini should get this move settled here before they even get to the apex. And see who gets the better run. Andrew Love not going to be close enough to get a challenge back here on Favini. Favini going to finish in 10th place, up 19 spots from where he qualified.
Well, definitely Favini enjoying the challenge of seeing how far he can move back up the grid. But certainly that last incident, that last move by Marco Pinero, I'm not quite sure what to think of that. Like, I'm going to try and gear up a replay for you in just a second here, in just a second here, Randall, but let me get your thoughts on that, because I'm kind of on the fence for it.
My thoughts, as somebody that runs the league and has to review incidents like that all the time, it's the white flag. They're racing for the win. There was no heavy contact there. That's just good, clean, hard racing. You got to defend your spot. You're responsible for the defense of your spot. He didn't run wide there at the apex. There was some contact, but they have fenders on him for a reason. I think that's a clean move. That's a good move. It's a late move, but it's the white flag. It's for the win. If you don't expect it coming, you need to reevaluate your expectations.
I'm like kind of on the fence for it. Don't get me wrong, it's somewhat clean and it was a wicked send. Myself, where like there's only so much space. Like can I slow this down a little bit more? I mean, he's there, he's hit his line. Yeah, no, I got to agree. It's unfortunate, but no, I would say that, yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one, Randall. That is a clean move. Very brave, very high risk, but not a clean move. I wanted to review that one for my own satisfaction on that. But ladies and gentlemen, what a race! And oh, look at that! The party has already started. Oh my God, that's Adam Bradshaw.
Somebody cue the German trance dance music as we have a bit of a rave going on here between turns 1 and 2.
How's that?
Now we have Adam Bradshaw going backwards on the trap, waiting for the base to drop. He's going to get it pointed back towards turn 1. The cars are everywhere. That move, you got to risk that move there and the last chicane. You got to risk it for the biscuit, and it paid off for Marco Pinero.
Well, we are going to try and see if we can get a replay of this action going on. So it looks like they've lined up a few of them. Wilkie's in there as well.
Yeah, they're all just waiting for the session to be officially closed, so they're not incurring any incident points before they really start the race
green.
Here. And we see who was that got punted? Was that Daniel?
Yeah,
Wood
Daniel Wood
over the wall by Jason Green. There, straight away,
Phil Berry.
Immediately knocked out of the pit. You got Philip Berry there causing a lot of damage. Green getting clobbered pretty hard there. So they're having a good time here after the end of the race for Weekend Warriors. Glad to see that they're still having a good time.
I'll tell you what, if they want to add this to like real world racing and charge like more per ticket, I have a feeling they would sell out very, very quickly. Like Wilkie almost being dogpiled on there. Bradshaw from behind. And you can see that left rear wheel, actually both rear wheels, for lack of better words, mullered. But that was amusing. Let me try and get the results up here a second. Like, absolutely hilarious fun from the from the Weekend Warriors. Oh my gosh. Take it away, Randall.
And your winner, Marco, what I'm going to call the Brigand Pinero, steals that win off Yanshi Lin into the chicane with an absolute massive move. Comes home first. Yanshi Lin brings it home second. Kane Lasky able to keep his foot on that bottom step of the podium. Comes home third, just in front of Bobby West. Jason Green with a good recovery run comes home in 5th place. 6th place, Evandro Dantas. 7th place, Daniel Wood. Your Spec 2 winner. No surprise there. Joshua Wilkie in 8th place. Cheng Zong and 9th. Andrea Favini rounds out your top 10.
Well, as we have a look at 11th, Andrew Love, certainly he put up a very good battle, but it was not quite enough to take that S2 win. He's there in 11th with Kurt Nunes in 12th, actually taking the Masters win. Kurt Nunes, well done, sir. Caleb Pocock, he takes 13th with Wachim Osbeck, one of the newer comers here. He takes 14th with Simon Mayer, certainly paying for that incident earlier, trying to make the 3 wide. That was very expensive for him, and he's there in 15th with Philip Berry in a Cookie Monster machine. Actually, Phil, you need to update your team to Cookie Monster or something on them lines. Please do that for my own amusement. He's there in 16th for Todd Gradwell. Certainly dropping back a very long pit stop for him in 17th. Scott Russell as well. Long pit stop there in 18th as we have a look through the rest of the grid. In 19th, we have Jason Perry. Now, that is the Spider-Man car, ladies and gentlemen. Quite easy to pick that one out. In 20th, we had Adam Bradshaw as well.
21st was Brandon Mansell, followed by right where he started in 22nd, Jim Brewster. Paul Jackson up 2 spots, finishes 23rd. Then we have a couple drivers who had a bit of a rough bit of it. Trenton Kramer had some issues there at the end of the race, comes home 24th. 25th going to be Stephen Healy. Richard Yalen busted in the rust, finishes in 26th. 4 spots up from where he qualified. Charles Vaccaro coming home 27th. Wayne Buttermore in 28th. Jörg Manning, after some penalty issues, possibly going to finish officially in 29th. And Joshua Flores in 30th. Jason Greider in 31st. And classified 32nd, though never set a lap. Also, sorry, Jason Greider also didn't set a lap. Michelle Viglini there in 32nd. No lap time set. So 2 drivers that did not take to the grid. And Unfortunately, we have no Adam Thompson Award for fuel management to give out. Everybody was able to make it without having to come in for another splash of fuel. So congratulations to everybody for being better than Adam Thompson at fuel management.
Well, certainly it is potentially a little bit harsh, but if anybody was wondering, Trenton Kramer, he tells us in the chat that iRacing booted him as he entered turn 2 with Jason. Not sure why he got booted there, but I tell you what, let's catch up with Bob. We don't have Marco Panero. I'm yet to manage to convince this guy to come in for an interview, but Randall, have you been able to catch up there with Wan Qilin?
Yes, I have. Wanchi, what a race. We saw you there challenging for the win at the end. You even had it on the white flag, and then a monster move out of Marco Panero. It looked like you weren't really expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, like we actually compared each other's time attack lap during the week, and he's faster than me into the first complex, and he's slightly better than me in the last 3 turns, but he's slower than me in the middle section. So I figured that after seeing that he had a not very good exit out of the 4th to last turn, I figured he's probably too far back to make a move, and just left inside open for him. So I guess that's a mistake looking back.
Hey, Yashi, can we get you to maybe bring your microphone a little closer to your mouth? It sounds like it's a little far away. Trying to get a good copy on you for the rest of this interview. So you had to battle your way back up to second after a phenomenal start out of Evandro Dantas, and you were able to get your way up into second place, and then you had a faster pit stop. Were you really watching the stopwatch there in those laps, waiting for Marco to come into the pits?
Can you hear me now?
Good on my end.
Try to fix it from our side.
No, he's good on my end, Randall. Keep going, Wanchi.
All right.
Yeah, the start was not very optimal, you know. The inside just have a massive advantage into the first complex. So might as well just qualify third, you know. But yeah, it just happens. And Marco is still slightly faster than me. I'll say he probably have a half a tenth on me, like in general pace. But, yeah, I mean, I just use less fuel than others. It's part of my driving style, and then I pitted a little bit early because I keep losing time to Marco. First, he's pulling away from me. Second, I think he had better luck with left traffic. So I figured I probably will pit earlier, get some even less fuel, and use the draft to catch back a little bit. Thankfully, Caleb helped me a little bit.
So I have to ask a tough question. What do you feel about the move there that ultimately resulted in the win for Marco Panero into the chicane? Do you think that was a good, clean move, or do you have a little bit of take a little exception to that?
I mean, on week 1, I ran into him after sending too hard on Snatterton, and I lifted to let him have it at the line. You know? So he ran me off the track. He decided to keep the win, then apologize later. I guess people take things differently, but just a little bit salty about it. I could have blocked inside. It's just I don't know. Because the chicane is just too tight, you know. If I take the inside, maybe it will have a better exit and just from back in. That was a mistake from me in the end. I could have done something different.
Well, you still put together a very, very impressive race, able to close down on him through pit strategy and then challenging for the win at the end. So before we let you go celebrate this really great race and good finish, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
I obviously thank to Slow Motion broadcasting this race and sponsoring this race.
Oh yes.
Thanks for Stevie putting this up.
All right. Well, congratulations, and hopefully we'll be talking to you again here soon.
Yeah. See you next time.
And that was your overall P2 finisher, Yanxi Lin. And Daniel, who have you tracked down?
Well, as much as I love speaking to Josh Wilkie, he can hang out there for a little bit because this is a gentleman who I've not yet actually been able to catch up with, but I think I may have raced you before. Kurt Nunes, congratulations on that Masters win. Tell us a little bit about how that went for you.
Hey, thank you. I want to thank Stevie and you guys for doing this. So, yeah, I've been experimenting with fuel with DRE, and I got the call to come in, and I was horrified to see that I came in on lap 6, I think. I was like, oh my God, I just blew it, but it worked out. I think that's the only reason why. Plus, I didn't spin on that turn 1 combo or get the slowdown on that last chicane, critical turns, and I managed to keep my nose clean.
Well, certainly keeping your nose clean is something that, is often underestimated. My mum, very keen to tell me to take my finger out of it, but good job there by Kurt Nunes, and it's great to see you up on the Masters podium. Certainly, it can be very, very challenging, but attrition is a thing, and actually, from what we saw here in the booth, I didn't see a single one of these drivers today make a hash of that turn 1, turn 2 comeback. Certainly something that has caught out a few of us. But Kurt, before we let you go, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, it's just really fun racing with these guys every week, and I trust most of the drivers we're racing with, and I just hope it completely stays like this. And once again, thank you for covering this on YouTube. Great to watch these races after.
Well, thank you very much, Kurt, and congratulations again on that Masters win. Jan, I did try turning up Kurt up a little bit. He's maxed out on my end, but certainly, Kurt, for next time, because we're going to see you in the podium again, no pressure, we are going to bump up your mic a little bit. So no pressure there. You get practicing, get ready for what comes next time round. But Kurt, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. We are going to head over next to Joshua Wilkie.
Joshua Wilkie, we're going to give you a new nickname here. I had 9 DNFs last season, and I'm not sandbagging Joshua Wilkie. We're running out of questions to ask you because you're in here, it seems like multiple times every week. So what I'm going to start with is, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Pizza? There's only one kind of pizza, and it's got pepperoni and cheese on it, and I won't hear anything else. Everything else is just not pizza.
Pineapple.
For me, no. Sacrilegious. No, but it was a good race out there today, actually, with, Andrew Love had some pace. It was great, honestly, battling with Scott for a little while there, too. I believe it was Scott.
Yeah, he did.
It was just awesome. So it was a great race. People had some pace today. It wasn't just handed to me at all, and yeah, good stuff.
So we did see you jousting back and forth with Scott Russell quite a bit. And there was one instance where you came through the kink on the back straight and you kind of just gave Scott the position back. What was going on there? Were you trying to save fuel? Were you just worried about an inside move or what?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, to be honest. He had some pace. I think his overall pace was probably a little bit better than mine. I was a little bit concerned about fuel, and I just figured he might have, there's no point in battling like this. If he's going to be on me like that, I'll just let him go and see if I can save some fuel. So that's what I was thinking. You pretty much nailed it, yeah.
Awesome. Well, another great win. We did see you with a pretty bold move in the first lap, going on the inside, going 3 wide into the last corner. How big were your eyeballs when you saw that incident ahead of you?
Yeah, well, it was, now that I've got kind of the hang of this car and I can drive it, I'm able to kind of use my brain for decision making and stuff a lot better this season, and it's really paying off, obviously. So it's really just about car placement and stuff, which I've always been pretty good at, making decisions and everything. And now that I can put the car where I want it, things are starting to work out for me. So yeah, I'm starting to have a pretty good season here, and a couple good moves. I took 2 cars, I think, into T1 as well on one lap, which felt great, and then Scott took me back, and just a great race, to be honest.
Well, you got to be running out of people to thank. We know you're going to thank your wife. Is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out after this win?
Yeah, it's actually, one of the only reasons I came in today is my grandmother passed away this year. Today would have been her 92nd birthday, so just a big shout out to that to her grandma, and I miss it. I know my mom's kind of having a bit of a rough day today as well, her first birthday away, so shout out to her, and obviously my wife, and you guys for doing such an awesome job. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. The stream looks excellent. You guys sound great, and love watching it afterwards. So thanks to SMB and all the drivers out there and everything. Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, Josh, before I let you go, I'm going to give you a little bit of unrequested advice. Maybe let somebody else win. We're kind of getting tired of talking about it.
Yeah, I think I'd definitely be moving up to S1 for next season for sure. I think it's pretty rare that somebody gets promoted mid-season, but my luck, by the time I move up to S1, then all of a sudden S2 is going to fill out and I'll never win another race. But I'm having a blast out there racing either way. So thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
All right, congratulations. And that was Josh Wilkie. And Daniel, I hear you have a special message for us before we sign off.
Well, definitely a little bit special myself. No one's going to deny that for sure. Absolutely nobody would deny that. But just give me 1 second here. There we go. Getting rid of a couple of things. So we have been talking about it earlier today, and we're going to mention it here as well, ladies and gentlemen. So this week we have been involved in doing a fundraiser. We actually did a fun race. We actually didn't talk about the race much, but because it was funded, like Weekend Warriors, they sponsored one of the particular races was sponsored by an anonymous member, and they sent me a message and said, look, I want to do a fundraiser. And I'm like, okay, sure, we can do that. So I admit I was a little late to the party, but I wanted to go above and beyond on that. And what I ended up doing is I set up a fun race. So we actually did Road Atlanta, and we had the Formula V, the Formula 1600, or the Formula Ford, depends what you want to call it, and the Spec Racer Ford, all going around at the same time around Road Atlanta. It was a good bit of fun. We ran some charity paints. We saw some of them earlier on. I think Kevin Adrian was representing in the Formula Fords. But ladies and gentlemen, this bit here, you can see it there on the screen. This is what it's about, ladies and gentlemen, and it's trying to beat breast cancer. So this was the total we had before the stream. I don't know why I'm running my mouse over that. You guys can't see my mouse, but I'm old now. I'm 34. These things happen. But if you want to get involved with that, the race may be done, but the charity link is still open. So yep, there is the QR code. If you're able to spare $1, whatever you've got, just be comfortable about it. I don't mind. We not only exceeded the target we had, but we've gone above and beyond. So some good things there. But Randall, why don't you tell us a little bit about the upcoming streams? Or not. Randall appears to have left the building, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll do the
I'm baffled. I'm trying to figure out where the Cross Series League Racing is. Are they off?
Yeah, they're off this week.
They're off this week. So no Cross Series League Racing tonight. So join us again next Sunday. Actually, sorry, that is today. We have upcoming broadcasts are ones that we just finished. Formula V next Saturday on the 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Going to be taking to Summit Point the next Sunday, October 27th at 1:45 p.m. Eastern. The Formula 4s will be on the very same Road America where we just had that charity fun race. And then this time slot next Sunday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern, the same Spec Racer Ford is going to be taking to the Daytona Road Course, which should be a huge race. Lots of battles going on there. That is going to be an absolute mega one that you don't want to miss. So keep your eyes on YouTube. Wait for us to come live and check out those races coming up. And Daniel, what a race! You got any last thoughts before we button this up?
Well, it's definitely a fun one. Don't get me wrong, the Weekend Warriors always delivers on racing action, but in terms of I'm almost like numbed a little bit after that Formula Ford race. Like I'm still buzzing from that, but I do see some people, they're on a fence about getting involved. Ladies and gentlemen, get involved. If you want to be part of this, these guys do not charge admission or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. They do appreciate if you put in a donation to help them keep the lights on and stuff like that. But, come on out, give it a whirl. There's somebody for everybody to race here. And then not only that, the stuff that you don't see off the stream. So Jason Green, he runs what's called Faux Speed. And I'll spell it because it might make more sense. F-A-U-X, like faux. It sounds very exotic, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very high class, you'd say. Basically, these guys, they run some practice races, practice sessions and stuff like that. And, you have that for the SRFs. You have the draft party on the Friday nights for the Formula Vs. Somebody usually puts up a Formula Ford practice as well. These guys, they want to help you get on the track, have fun, and have good competition. So if you're on the fence about getting involved, by all means, reach out. If you're ever asking us, how do I get involved in this? Just put it in the chat. I'll put the Discord in there for you. Get involved, and we'd be happy to see you on track. Randall, do the honors, sir.
Well, that brings the end to this race here for the Weekend Warriors, brought to you by Ray Esports at the Nurburgring. My name's Randall McGrew. I've been joined by Daniel Zippy, Salmon, and from all of us here at Slow Motion Broadcasting, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time. the field in Castro's hands, and he's going immediately. Gets a good jump there over green, and is pulling away. He is gapping early, even moving over to try to break up any sort of slipstream or help that inside line, making sure green has his hands full coming into T1.
York's chance. Did Jason give Antonio just a little bit of a slow up? It doesn't look like it. Antonio down to the inside. Hopefully going to be able to make this move. Oh, that was close.
DeSoto both coming very hot with a head of steam. Plava going up to try to move out of the way and give up the slipstream.
Here comes Gilliland.
Slow down. Gilliland coming in, going to try to challenge for this podium. They're going to go too wide.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Gilliland and Plava come together. Gilliland's going to come back across the line in 4th place.
You're quite going to get there. There's a little bit of a lock up there from the 46
goodness.
car. He's gone deep.
Whoa. I don't know how everybody was able to get through that. That could have been absolute tears for that front runner.
I see a Budweiser. Go ahead and hold it up.
Yes. There's
that was
our
the
Budweiser.
biggest clue.
Yes, right
Doing
there.
it for Dale.
Man, it's so many gimmicks, right? I feel like they're making it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people, you get polarizing opinions on DRS.
I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here, but sometimes the effort, it's all about the boys. You know, like, hey, you
It
know,
is.
life sucks sometimes, and you
Yes.
the boys.
iRacing kind of always has a tendency to kind of buff
Yes.
the new cars just a little bit. I'm not going to go on record saying it's because they want people to spend money on their platform and buy all the new
Conspiracy
content.
confirmed.
But
Yes.
but